All right. Shalom Yashala. Kol Halal Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Waharakah Kodash Rakatham. I like to give double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the select number of Akyam who's pushing his truth and sincerity in four corners of the round earth. And salutations to the select number of Akwat out there listening. What I'd like to get into is this whole this housing affordability bill, this house affordability bill, I believe. They're going to get into more depth of this. It's a minute and 52-second video, clip, and they'll explain it. But the scriptures, will always remain undefeated. So I'm gonna let this clip play, and I'm gonna get some scriptures.
We got word yesterday that President Trump, this is from the White House, that they were going to have this signing ceremony at 9 a.m. This is a bipartisan approved bill. We are now learning that President Trump is canceling this signing of event, and he is holding this up because he wants Congress to pass the SAVE Act, an act that has been unpopular on both sides. Both political parties have been unwilling to kind of get this going. Remember, Republicans control both the House and the Senate, and this has not been something that even Republicans have remotely been close to getting even heard on the floor. For a reminder, though, the SAVE Act is a proposed federal legislation backed by the Trump administration that amends the National Voter Registration Act to require voters to provide documented proof of U.S. citizenship to register to vote in federal elections. Now, again, this is a big blow because many were celebrating the passage of this housing bill because this was something, again, that had overwhelming support. Only 32 lawmakers yesterday in the House voted against it. Previously passed in the Senate in an overwhelming passage. Only 5 senators you saw there in that video as votes were being counted. But here's what we know about it. If it does eventually get passed, is that it aims to lower housing costs while increasing supply. It streamlines environmental reviews and removes regulatory barriers to speed up the construction process. It will also limit corporate investors from buying up single-family homes. Now, again, we just heard. Let's come back out here live. We did hear something from Mayor Todd Gloria as well too. But again, I think the focus here right now is that President Trump has canceled this signing ceremony. Of course, if we do hear whether or not that could change or what might happen here to the future of this, we'll be sure to let you know. But again, White House ceremony was set for 9 a.m. and we'll continue to track reaction to now this being canceled, this signing ceremony.
Hey, the devil gonna do what the devil gonna do, man. These presidencies and what have you, they're not set up to benefit, the people. The people, that's talking about people with personal self-interest. Those who's going to continue, to keep the rich rich and the poor poor. It's kind of like, if you Akyam and you Akwat aren't familiar, that Karl Marx, where that Marxism comes from. I believe he wrote a book, Communist Manifesto. The oppressor keeps the oppressor keeps the poor oppressed, pretty much. So basically it's the oppressor and the oppressed in that Communist Manifesto, and that's real, and that's what we're seeing play out in real time. That's why everybody in such an uproar because of particular celebrities that Jake followed, like with this whole Jay-Z thing, with him partnering with Target, right? Jake, doing, their boycotts and whatnot. Jake like, he partnered with them. He ain't, hell, bro, these people are not for the people like that, man. Okay, these people are under contracts just like, Trump and everybody else, man. They're under contracts. And especially for you Israelites, they, this society isn't for our people, man. This society and what we're going through right now is captivity. It's pure punishment, man. Okay? This is Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. Okay? Because I caught that when they were saying, like, I believe it was 32 people against it. It's like, damn, that's crazy that 32 people would be against the whole I believe he was talking about the Housing Affordability Act, but of course they was outnumbered. But it's like, damn, bro. It's if this is not eye opening at this point, man, whatever happens, to people, it's gonna happen anyway. You know, there's no getting around judgment, from Yahweh Shemiah Shah. But just the simple fact that, that 32 people was against the House Affordability Act makes you like, damn, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, this because it's a major, pardon my French, it's a major mind fuck. They talk about well, people aren't having families anymore. Like literally, people, marriage is on the decline. Childbirth rates is on the decline. Like who in their right mind would even consider building a life here in Babylon, with these with all this grievousness going on, man? Who in they, now granted, how you move in your in your daily life, due to the economy, it shouldn't put a strain on you, but that's how demonic this place is, man. For you to even have that type of mindset, like, damn, I can't even start a family, or because just to be quite honest, there's no future here. The future of Babylon, aka America, is destruction. Okay, but just the simplicity of wanting to have a wife, wanting to have a decent enough mortgage, a safe environment for your children, and that's the reason why a lot of it's on the decline, because people know that's really not it's damn near impossible in this time. It could happen, but bro, you got people out here working 2 and 3 jobs, if not 4. Like, man, this place is through. Verse 2. To turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. Okay, and when it says that widows may be their prey, that makes me think about the whole government assistance. We know Edomites lead in welfare, so that's always been debunked. But it still doesn't negate the fact that the assistance that was introduced to the Israelite woman in the late 50s and 60s and 70s or what have you, hey, it still has some damaging effects. Okay, and it damaged the mindset of a lot of our women, man. Oh, if the father ain't here, that's cool. No, that's not cool. And it's just this just more so fuel for the fire, man, on why this place has to go, man. You could just see it with each, because like we say, Trump is hilarious, man, but shit that's going on is definitely not funny, though. It's definitely not funny, But for those who are proud and thinking you're going to continue, hey, the Lord has something for you, man. And the Lord is going to humble a lot of you, Jake, who's coming against what myself is saying, the apostles, bishops, and elders. And first and foremost, what Yahweh Shemiah Shah is saying. Okay? This is Proverbs chapter 14, verse 31. He that oppresseth the poor reproacheth his maker. But he that honoreth him hath mercy on the poor. Okay? We see there's no honoring those who are less fortunate, man. So some people who like legitimately and literally, like, a lot of those people, man, a lot of people just aren't out here lazy. Now, you got some people who have terrible work ethic, but you have people who went to war for this place, truly invested in this place, got educated and so forth, really believed in the American dream. Like the infamous quote from from George Carlin, the legendary comedian. He said, pretty much loosely paraphrasing, you got to wake up, if you really believe in the American dream. You know, once you wake up, you're like, hey, it's just that American dream. It's a dream. Everybody isn't included. It's not inclusive. Loosely paraphrasing that George Carlin bit. Because that's wild that they would cancel the signing. What Trump would cancel the signing, which the elite told him to do that. Cancel the signing and get the Voters Act. So it's but we definitely in them times of prophecy. Bear me Baruch Shah. We get Amos. I get now this chapter 5 is about Israelites taking advantage of less fortunate Israelites. But once again, these scriptures are twofold, man. Okay? If it's looked upon being wicked by Esau doing something, guess what? It's wicked by Jake doing it as well too. You dig what I'm saying? So it's twofold. You know what I'm saying? Jake shouldn't be doing this because that's not of our nature, man. And if Jake is doing this, they learn in the ways of the heathen, which the scriptures tell us not to learn thy ways of the heathen, right? This is Amos chapter 5, verse 11. For as much therefore as your treading is upon the poor, and ye take from him burdens of wheat, ye have built houses of hew stone, but ye shall not dwell in them. Ye have planted pleasant vineyards, but ye shall not drink wine of them. Okay, and what they do, man, they just continue to thicken these layers of propaganda. Okay, because there's a lot of people out here busting their ass, but it's like literally, bro, it's like it ain't even paycheck to paycheck. It's pretty much paycheck to what's that called? Paycheck to borrowers, pretty much, bro. You got a lot of people, doing the whole loans. Yeah, pretty much it's paycheck to loan office, man. Everybody's pretty much is skipping the paycheck to paycheck. It's paycheck, get a loan, paycheck, pay back the loan. You know what I'm saying? High ass interest rates. So, man, a lot of people are catching hell, man. But the culprit is Esau. The culprit is Esau. Everything is priced outrageously, man. I can't think of the state right now. It may be in Carolina. I think I'll have to go back and check. But you have a HOA for those. It was the homeowners. It's the homeowners association fee that went from pretty much $130 something, if not like close to $200. It went all the way to damn near over $1,000, man. That's a 900, bro. It's a 900. That's 1,000. That's 1,000% increase, bro. That's a $900 increase. In other words, a 900% to 1,000% increase, bro. They went from $130 to over $1,000. And that's criminal as hell, man. That is criminal. Okay. Verse 12, for I know your manifold transgressions and your mighty sins, they afflict the just. They take a bribe and they turn aside the poor and the gate from their right. Okay. So once again, this is talking about Israelites taking advantage of less fortunate Israelites, but this still applies to Esau because it's twofold. The scriptures are twofold, man. Okay. He wanted to take hold of this book so bad. Guess what? He's gonna have to account for all the wickedness he's done and continue to do. You putting people's livelihood on pause because you want to get a Voters Act. You know what I'm saying? Which that's the elite doing that, man. And then it trickles down. Guess what? Yes, to all these politicians, hey. They will be judged, man. In other words, Babylon has a special judgment, man. It has a very special judgment coming. Okay. But that's all I have on this. And Abaratazah, this is edifying for the body. So once again, with that, call halal Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah Waharaka Kodash Brakathum. Once again, I'd like to give double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the select number of Achion, pushing his truth and sincerity in four corners of the round earth. And salutations to the select number of Aquatata listening. Shalom.